a little dance.
A little
All right,
dang.
Yeah.
guys,
Yo.
welcome back. This is episode number 6 of the DXD podcast. We have our friend Colin here again for another one.
Yeah, I'm
He's
ripping
gonna
my
he's
mic off my
becoming
desk.
steadily one of the OGs already.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so we have 3 topics for today. For the first topic, I believe it was Sony's screw up.
Just
Let's
Sony
look at
screw up.
the
What they do
notes
now?
real quick. Okay, so I don't know if anyone here is aware of the new patent Sony has going right now,
Mhm.
with their whole AI skip feature. I don't even know where to begin on this, so I'll let Darian take because I know he's read up on this. I'll let Darian take the
Yep.
wheel.
All right. So for those who can see it, I have the article open up. It's from Game Rant. Okay, good. It is showing up on here. So Sony's new patent, Auto-Play Game Mode. Sony patents a new technology that could enable autoplay mode while playing PlayStation games, potentially allowing a player to just straight up skip some gameplay segments. The quick rundown is it's an AI powered system that could revolutionize gaming and allow players to skip repetitive or grindy gameplay sections. The autoplay mode technology allows the use of an AI model to simulate gameplay styles and could be implemented in Sony's PlayStation games. While potentially controversial, the system could benefit players who struggle with lengthy games and grinding, enhancing the overall gaming experience. Now, personally, all of us here think that it's completely unnecessary,
I didn't say
but
that.
in their okay. Oh, you know what? No, that's great, Colin. I want you to
I'm gonna play devil's
take the
advocate
wheel
here.
on this then.
I'm devil's advocate here.
Perfect.
Okay, real quick, Darian, you want to bring the screen share down so we can see
Yeah,
our
I can do
beautiful
that.
faces again? Okay,
Yeah.
so we have Colin playing devil's advocate, so I'll give my 2 cents on this. I think this is wild.
Yeah.
Getting, because you know that complaint everyone has with AI where they're like, it's going to take our jobs, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. I personally think AI is a tool. I know it's going to be an issue because when it's used, irresponsibly, then we're going to have problems. But I think if we use AI properly, then it's a great thing. But then again, we're we're using AI to replace gamers essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is the point of playing a game if you're going to use AI to play certain parts of it for you? I can't comprehend that. Like they're saying, oh, this is going to help gamers with grindy or lengthy games and stuff like that. I understand grindy games and lengthy gameplay, but my point is, why are you playing a grindy game if you don't like it? You know what I mean? Like that's a whole genre of games, like Monster Hunter as an example, right? I love
Oh
Monster
yeah.
Hunter. Is it grindy? Is it lengthy? Of course it is. But the Monster Hunter fan base, they love that about the game. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy to me. Like I couldn't imagine playing Diablo and just like, hey, click AI autoplay and it just runs all my mats for me. Would it be nice? It sounds like it, but I feel like I wouldn't be getting as much out of the game. Like the whole point is for me to sit down, kill some time, have fun, turn my brain off, or you know what I mean, do whatever for X amount of time, and it gives me some time to decompress, enjoy myself a little bit. So I'll let the devil's advocate speak up
Yeah.
on his opinion here.
All right.
I want to hear it too.
So one, I'm gonna start off with accessibility in games. There's a lot of games that people are like, great story, but there's either like that parkour segment you just can't do, or fucking like you have to go pick fucking 9,000 flowers for this one power up or what stupid shit like that. And we already have similar stuff. Like there's a couple games where like there's like horse or car mechanics where it's like hit X and we'll just GPS your car there while you sit there and do nothing. So we're not talking about like beating core bosses. It's just like tedious stuff that you can't do. And if it's completely optional, then I would deem it under accessibility over like skipping game content. And even if
Now,
we're using it for casual stuff, if you could Grand Theft Auto 6, whatever. If you're like,
yeah.
oh crap, I gotta cook dinner, drive me to the gun store, reload my ammo, and then drive me home. And the game can do that for you while you're just
Oh yeah.
pointless shit that you don't want to sit here and do for 50 minutes because you gotta go cook. if you could just tell the game to do that, it's not like game breaking. It's not erasing your gameplay time. It's just doing something that you don't want to do.
I get what you're saying. It erases some of the monotony, or I don't even remember is that the right word for it. But my point is
Yeah.
it can get rid of some of the unnecessary aspects of games. My only question is this going to make it worse? Because um, for me, I see it as a way for them to incorporate this even more now, because I'm assuming that this whole auto skip function or whatever is going to be some sort of paid option. I can't see them just giving this to everybody for free. They're probably going to ask you to pay something for it, whether it's like $5 or whatever. I don't know. But is it now going to be like you load up a phone game and you play one phone game, or you play one round, and it's like, oh hey, here's your ad or whatever. Now they're going to make that same thing in regular titles, where they're like, hey, we're going to add this excessively long segment to our game, so it entices people more to pay into this product or feature or whatever it is. I think you wanted to mention something there.
Sorry, I was reading a bit more into it since you guys were asking. But to kind of address the point Colin made about it being for grindy sections, they're using that as an example. They're not saying that's all it's going to be used for.
Well,
In
that's all the
total
information we
reading
have
over
on
it-
an article that's come out so early ahead of time. Like when we actually
Oh
see
yeah,
it in development, we can come back and be like, see, I told you, bitch.
right. But they did show kind of a breakdown of what it looks like. Hold on, I can show this because it was a bit further down. If I can screen share again. So as you can see, how Sony's autoplay mode would work. So I'm not too sure what this means over here. I don't have the user speak, but predicted interactive activity. User play model, prior session, X session. What they're essentially saying is it's using your data, aka how you would play the game. It's storing that into a model, using that as essentially predicting how you're going to play the game, and then doing that for you, and then obviously the telling you when it's over, right? It's like, oh, the autoplay section. So like Colin said, let's say you need to fight Great Jagras, and you're like, ah, shit, well, this is going to take 35 to an hour anyways, let me go make some food. It'll take how you would play the game and do it for you, and then give you a notification saying, hey, this is over. From what it's saying, I think originally, to kind of close this again, when me and Danelle were talking about this ourselves, it sounded more like it's literally just going to skip it. Like it's going to take the point of the game that you're in and just say you're in chapter 3. Yeah, chapter 3 is going to consist of a bunch of side questing and stuff I don't care about. Just skip me to chapter 4, and then the game would just do that. Is how it sounded originally. I think now looking over it a bit better,
I think it's just going to turn
it's
every game into
closer to what you're saying. Yeah, I think
you can
what
toggle this
it's
shit on and off,
trying
idle
to-
game mode. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the issue, like Danelle said, that I would more so have with it is it sounds more like, why are you doing this then? And not Sony. Sony is the obvious answer why. But
Well,
like
they're
the
trying to
player,
create a self-learning AI that copies player like skills and stuff, because think of the future bots and like AI controlled companions if they've studied off of actual player gameplay for a couple years.
See, I
sure,
understand that
but
outlook,
eh,
but I was gonna say they could just do that normally off of the gameplay, right? Like 90%
yeah,
of
I'd
our
love
games
that.
nowadays are all forced online anyways. So realistically, they could just take your player game style, save it to a memory bank somewhere, and use that information to program in later. Um, but yeah, me and Darian thought that it was like an auto skip when it first started, but now it's just like it's not an auto skip. It's like turn this, toggle this, and it's essentially going to be you for X amount of time playing certain things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
But
see it almost the same as like when it's like Red Dead Redemption, where it's like hold X and we'll just follow the road to your GPS destination, basically.
but
yeah,
it doesn't stop there though, and that's kind of where I'm
yeah,
like, why? It's because if you look at some of those articles, they've even mentioned like, oh hey, is that certain Elden Ring boss too difficult for you?
yeah.
Well, here you go, AI, function takes over and beats the boss for you. And to me, where Elden Ring is one of my favorite games ever, right? That is like a slap in the face to me. Like, not that it offends me, but as a fan of the franchise, why would you play a game where it beats the bosses for you? Like,
Maybe
at
it's
that
just like a
point, you
story
just want to
mode.
watch a movie. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, just go on
maybe it's
YouTube and watch a gameplay. You know, what do you call it?
A let's play.
Yeah, just go watch a let's play if you just want to watch the story. But if you're gonna toggle a button and it's just gonna play the game for you, why even do that? I feel like that's just like, it's a disservice to the creators of the game as well. Like, it
see.
feels like to me,
I
I'd be
feel like if
offended
it's
if
an
people didn't
accessibility
even play
option,
it.
if we
But
keep it an accessibility option, sure. Like if it's like, oh, Grand Theft Auto, I don't have the hand-eye coordination, or I have the disability that prevents me from doing the shooting segments, but I genuinely love the drive around sections.
see, but I've heard this all the time, and it was for every single thing involved with gaming. Everyone just says,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's accessibility." I
If it's
I'm
optional, I don't care. If it like someone can use it to help them, sure, but I don't care.
I understand that. You know, it's an option. It's not a mandatory. So it's going to turn
Plus,
into one of those things where it's like easy mode versus normal and hard mode. You know what I mean? You play easy mode, everyone looks at you like, ah, this guy plays easy mode, whatever.
yeah,
But they move on, right? But to me, I look at it and I'm like, there's a lot of other people I know where they play games and they genuinely have disabilities, and I feel like if they just slapped an accessibility icon on this, or logo, or stigma, um, that's kind of offensive, to just be like, oh, hey, we did this for the people who can't play games. A lot of those people can still play the games, and even if they can't, play it to that degree, I feel like there's like a gamer's pride. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, am I one of the only people that think that way? Like, I have some pride in myself, where if I play something and it's difficult, the dopamine rush comes from when I'm able to complete that. If I just click a button and it's like, all right, do it for me, where's the where's the drive to actually complete it? It's not
Well,
there anymore. That kind of takes away one of the key features of playing a game to me.
well, we all know it's so they could have AI learning, because I feel like if they just drop something and be like, hey, we're going to record all of your gaming sessions and just release an AI based on that, people would be mad. But now it's an opt in thing. You'd be like, ooh, what does this AI do? And now you click the checkbox and they're like, good, we get all your data for free. Because
Yeah,
you
no,
want to see
I agree with
how
that.
stupid this is.
I think my thing isn't even so much all of that. I think it's like a combination of what the two of you are saying, in the sense of like, I agree with Colin in that for the company itself, for Sony, it is simply like a smoking gun. It's like a, hey, pay attention to what we're doing here, what we're saying, not what we're actually doing. In this case, like the stealing your data. I think the problem is when I hear this just in general, my immediate thought isn't they're doing this for people with disabilities. I always see that as a shield every time something like this ever comes
Mm-hmm.
up, is we're doing this for people with disabilities.
Yeah,
And then
no.
it actually is just for people that are lazy. Is every single
Can't
time.
wait
And
for
I'm
the
not even
Can AI beat Elden Ring
And it's going to be a
video.
yes.
yeah.
It's
And
it's going to be a yes.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you can post that video on YouTube and people are going to watch it and you don't have to do a single thing.
Yeah, because like whenever I love finding videos that are like playing what's it called? Playing Grand Theft Auto. Playing Grand Theft Auto with my feet and it's a guy with no arms. Playing friggin' yeah, damn it, I love him screwing up now. Guitar Hero with three fingers. Playing Monster Hunter Blind. Playing Bob, like all these different things, like they're playing video games with very clear debilitating disabilities. Like this is making the game harder, and they're doing it, and they're doing it sometimes in record time. But just in general, it's for me, I'm seeing people with disabilities, and I'm seeing, despite having a disability, they can still compete at the level everyone else is. It's simply harder. And while I understand that's not every single one of them, the same way not every able-bodied person is on par with everybody else that's also able-bodied, it's just when I hear it, it never comes off as good as they want it to, because whenever I see it in practice, it's very rarely the people that they say it's for.
This
Like,
is
sure, there's like color settings for colorblind people. That's great. I think Last of Us is a great example, specifically Last of Us 2, with a lot of its accessibility options, and a lot of those are very, very good. Like being able to change out sound cues and stuff, like being able to affect the way the joystick rumbles at certain things if you have bad hearing, and all these different things to help make the experience more accessible. But when I see stuff that's just straight up play the game for you, it no longer sounds like a way to help people with disabilities. It's how to help lazy people stay lazy.
See, I'm okay with it as long as it stays in the pointless, tedious realm of things. I don't want it beating bosses
Yeah.
for me, but if it's like, hey, I will walk here for you, I will
Yes.
drive here, I will go level up your fishing or some
like
bullshit
auto
like that.
pathing and stuff they already have in the
Yeah,
game.
basically, that doesn't need to be an AI because it's already included in a lot of games. But like, if it stays there, like, I don't want it to be like beating games for me because what's the point?
Yeah, and
That's
to add to the
what I'm
point
getting
about like
to.
playing the game for you somewhat, I think an example of a compromise, playing the game for you, but also you can play it, is change the skip function from literally just straight up skipping the entire thing to like say you're playing Pokemon. Everyone knows how to play Pokemon. It's Pokemon. Let me enter a Pokemon battle, and then here's the skip button if it's something that is literally under my level and I've beaten it already. Like, oh, I need to level up my Ralts.
Just an
And
auto battler toggle for every game.
well, I shouldn't say every game. It's like the point they made was like, hey, listen, sometimes you're going to be in a really grindy section. Yeah, I get it. I need to get to level 55 and I'm level 50. I really don't want to spend an hour and a half just killing random mobs over and over again. Let me just let it do that and then there.
Yeah,
But the concept of just being like, I'm in chapter 1, let me skip to the cool shit, to me is what this sounds like rather than what it should be.
My issue is like what you guys are saying, where it's like, oh hey, you've done this before, let me just get it to do this
I
again
think that should be an
constantly.
option in every RPG. Once you've
Yes.
beaten the
I
game,
feel
if you
like
have a
that just
completed.
makes it
Okay,
I feel
tell
like it just
me.
makes it
Wait, did you
irrelevant
play
though.
Skyrim?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that fucking 20-minute first section
Okay.
for the ninth time is stupid. Yeah, and I'd be like,
Okay,
I've
okay,
seen
but
it here, and I've been here before. Skip me to my character creator. Let me go in the room.
okay, that's understandable, but that's comes with replaying the game,
Yeah, but
and
I'm
Skyrim is
that
super old. Okay,
that
like
yeah, I'm like that.
it's
Those
been
kind of
released
skips,
on the
I'm fine with.
toaster 6 times.
If we're doing tutorial skips and stuff like that, I'm fine with. But no, I'm not skipping like big chunks of story, like to be like, oh, I just want to be strong at the end of the game and go back and destroy all the bosses. Like, no.
See, even
Yeah.
my issue with grindy games is if I use Diablo as an example, or any other freaking RPG that uses an RNG system for drop rates, if you just tell it to grind essentially for you for items or whatever it is, like kill this animal or kill this monster boss, whatever, over and over again until I come back, right? I feel like that just invalidates the effort that people put in to get, like, say, rare items or rare mounts or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, you get that one item that has like a
Mhm.
0.01% drop rate. When you go into an online game or whatever, and someone else sees that, you look at that and you go, God damn, that person had to probably work super hard to get it, and
Well,
it's
I don't
super
think this would be
cool.
included in anything online. Hopefully,
But that's the point, though, right? Like Diablo and whatnot. Is Diablo on PlayStation? I don't remember. I know Diablo
I
3
don't know.
used to be on console.
You know what this is,
4 and
guys? We
whatnot.
called this something different 20 years ago. We called these cheat codes. You would just
Yes.
toggle God mode and run past a whole section if you didn't want to do this shit. Like this.
Yeah,
That's
walk through walls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
so.
just
I
I
don't know
guess
why
that
it's got
makes
to
a
be AI
difference.
cheat codes, but I feel like developers could just put skips and things in their own game if they wanted to.
Yeah,
They could.
I miss that.
They could. But like that's kind of the thing. I feel like that's kind of like a slap to a developer. I'd be kind of upset as a developer if like someone just used an AI auto fighter to like beat freaking half my game. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I'd be
no.
a
Here's
little
the
upset. Like they're
See,
still buying it and you're getting the money for it, but it's like a blow to the pride.
I know it's different because it's an MMO, but World of Warcraft has these things where if you complete a scenario on a main character, any other subsequential characters you run through that area, you can talk to the guy and be like, "Yeah, I've done this scenario," and he's gonna be like, "Okay, you can skip it, but you lose any of the loot that comes with it."
Hmm.
And you can
Fair.
just like skip like an intro scenario to a new zone or the expansion start scenario. You can skip that on other characters.
That's fair. That makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if you're in that type of game or that type of what do you call it, like community, you know what I mean, the culture is to play the game, and when you're maxed on that character you make another character.
Yeah.
So it gets tedious if you're doing it over and over again and you're having to see those same tutorials, same introductions. I understand that does make
So yeah,
sense.
in an RPG sense, where if it was like, yeah, I've seen this, just drop me. Let me create my character and just drop me in the first city. We could, like,
Hmm.
but I don't know what this AI is actually planning on doing. We'll have to wait and see, and then we can come back and be like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that like when it comes to like you were mentioning with cheat codes, I think a good balance is back in the day, specifically before the seventh generation. Cheat codes were fine because cheat codes were just that. They were cheat codes. They were just a way to have fun, whatever. When the seventh generation came around and we had internet access, cheat codes started to go away because we were playing against other people. Things were more connected. But I think one thing games managed to do around that time that was fair was with the advent of stuff like trophies and achievement points, cheat codes turned that function off. So it was like, hey, listen, if you want to play with cheats, that's fine, but you can't win anything from it. That's not worth anything anymore. So if you're
Hmm.
someone that's just like, oh yeah, beat this boss in a certain amount of time. If you did it with the infinite damage cheat, good job. It doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
You actually had to figure out how to play the game properly. One thing that was an example I would use is when I played on my PlayStation 3, one game I had was Ben 10 Cosmic Destruction. In that game, there's literally just straight up an option for cheat code because those games always have cheat codes. But as soon as you turn it on, it tells you you cannot gain trophies. So I would beat the first level and there's no trophy.
Well, that's
I turn off the
yeah.
cheat code, I go back and do that level, I get the trophy, and it's like, okay, so they just want me to beat this legitly. And it's like, I think in this day and age, we can bring that back as long
I
as
think
they
that's in a lot
find a
of
way
things.
to just balance it, you know?
Because like if you mod certain games, Steam will be like, "Oh yeah, you've modded this. You can't use. You won't get any Steam achievements or stuff like that." Like that's a thing.
Hmm.
I haven't seen that, but I believe you.
If they go the same route, then yeah, I think it's okay. It just makes me kind of upset, but like at the end of the day, if it's a single player game, I don't care, and I don't think
Yeah,
most
if it's
people care.
optional and you can turn it on and off, I don't care. Like the more options I get,
Oh,
someone who
I'm gonna
use
just
it.
I'm gonna just go to a friend's house and he's gonna be telling me about the new game that just came out, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm rocking like X, Y, and Z weapon, and it's so great. Yeah, you have to grind for 36 hours to get it."
yeah.
And then I'm gonna go there and see zero achievements for the whole game. I'm gonna be like, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I played Death Stranding, and you literally have to walk for 45-minute segments in that game. So it's
I
a
get it.
literal
Yeah.
walking simulator. So that'd be great.
It is, yeah. Danelle, I think a great example of what you're describing is Final Fantasy 16. The devs knew, like I could tell they're gamers specifically because Yoshida he makes 14 now. But one thing they did when they made 16 was they added rings, and those rings play the game for you. There's the ring of timely attack, timely healing, timely dodge, and Torgal. Well, it's basically your dog companion. And essentially, the rings just play the game for you. What I mean by that is you have combos, but just mash the attack button and it'll do combos for you. It'll do all kinds of attacks, whatever you have available at the moment. The only thing you have to activate is like your super attacks sometimes. But whenever you have those rings equipped, in the top left-hand corner above your health bar, there's a icon for each of them, and it'll light up depending on which one you have activated. When the game first came out last year, some idiot who didn't know that tried to make the game look bad and say, "Oh god, this game's so easy. I can play it with one hand." And people immediately spotted those things in the corner and went, "Yo, this guy's playing with the rings on and thinks no one knows." And it's like, I think in situations like that, that is all you actually need. It's like, hey, listen, if someone has this thing that makes the game easier turned on, just, watermark it, make them look bad. Because it's not even so much to make them look bad as
Yeah.
much as it is like, hey, listen, if you actually need this for, let's say, accessibility reasons, you should not feel any shame in needing that. So it showing up doesn't mean anything. It's just there. You need it, right? But if you're doing it to come off as a badass and make the thing look bad and be like, oh yeah, look, this game's so easy, I can play it with one arm tied behind my back, and everyone sees that you're bullshitting because they can see the thing light up to know that you put them on accessibility mode, then I think
Damn
you
it.
deserve to
Stop
have it
thought.
blown out for you.
Fuck.
Yeah, go ahead,
What
Colin.
were you saying?
My inner competitiveness would totally have the AI do like a Grand Theft Auto race and then be like, I'm gonna spend the next 4 days trying to beat that fucking time. Like I have to prove I'm better than the system.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's just you. And you know what? I think that's perfect, right? If the system is literally just copying your data, this would be great for not just like speedrunners, but even like in the fighting game community. Like AI in that is either bullshit hard or stupid easy. If you could find something that's actually made to your specifications because it's copying your data, then you can see in real time yourself getting better.
yeah, like who is it that needs that? Jeez, what's that? The fighting game, Power Rangers. What was it? Fight for the Grid or something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that?
Fight for the Grid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
That was
AI
really
in
good,
that
yeah.
game needs help. Like something wrong with that AI, man. I'm telling you, the moment you click start, it is on your ass, like right off the bat. There's like it's doing combos I've never seen before, and I'm like, bro, chill.
Well,
There's
games where
no
the AI
relax
can
with
flat
that
out
AI.
cheat.
That
Like
was so
it's
fun.
ridiculous. But okay, so we're talking about other games here now.
A simpler time before AI, our childhood.
Yeah.
We can segue this. We can segue onto older games. Were they
Before AI.
nostalgia or were they actually good? Because now with all the new games coming out, and everyone has their complaints and whatever else. Everyone
Oh,
always says,
okay.
"Oh, back in my day, the games were so much better with their freaking Atari and whatnot." What do you guys think? Do you guys think that like the games you were fond of as a kid are good, or is it just your rose tinted? Is it rose tinted glasses? I think that's the
Yeah,
Yeah.
saying.
that's the thing. Yeah.
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 So let's hear the opinions.
I was scrolling
Uh,
through some PlayStation 2 because I was a PlayStation 2, 3 era kid before I
yeah.
switched to
Okay.
PC. So I'm just looking around and I feel like if there was a graphic overhaul, a lot of these games would stand up. And I know a
No,
lot of them are being remastered.
can I ask one?
What?
Is Ratchet and Clank on that?
All of Ratchet and Clank could be remastered right now and they'd do that shit.
Masterclass.
Yeah.
Master. It doesn't matter how
Even the
old.
new ones, they're the same game,
Ri-
just
oh,
nicer looking.
Rift Apart was like opening a box I didn't know. Like that's like Pandora's box. You know what I mean? Like I had so many pent up feelings about Ratchet and Clank I didn't know I had, and then I started playing Rift Apart, and it was just all oozing to the forefront. I was dying with happiness. The game
Yeah,
was
Dino, how'd you
just
play
so.
it?
It was so good. You don't understand. I played it on my Steam Deck, but I also did play it on my PC too, but the game was just it was so good. It was so refreshing too because they kept the core concept of Ratchet and Clank, obviously, because you have to, but they revamped it. The graphics were amazing in Rift Apart. Like they were
Yeah.
so good for what the game was back. God knows how long on the PS2 compared to now. I don't understand how they managed because so many developers fail this. They're like, hey, let's bring back an old game, and they make it worse than the game previously. And I don't understand how, but like Ratchet and Clank gave me Ratchet and Clank with new bells and whistles, updated graphics, and that shit. Like the boss fights in that game, oh my god! And the open world aspect of it. Well, it's not open completely, but the amount of things you can do in the world is crazy. And being able to jump between what was her name again? Ratchet and
Rivet.
Rivet. Yeah, so being able to jump between Ratchet and Rivet made the story so much more interesting. it took like it took some of the gamers fatigue you would get, you know what I mean, when you play something for so long and you're like, okay, I'm getting a little tired of this. But it gets rid of a lot of that, being able to jump back and forth. It made it really fresh in my opinion.
See, I
But
didn't
going
like that
back to
bit
my
though.
point, like Ratchet and Clank, there's no nostalgia goggles there. Ratchet and Clank just hit.
Yeah,
It always did.
I think there was a different time where they were like, we have a game idea, we're gonna make a game, and it's gonna be done, released, and that's it. There's no like, oh, how are we gonna add to this in the future? Are we gonna leave room for updates? Are we gonna add some micro transactions or other bullshit in there? Like it's all like, this is the game, this is what we're putting out there, and it's done. So it had to be good. There was no like, okay, I know you bought the game, but we're gonna patch that in 3 months and it'll be playable, we promise. Like, it had to be good, or else your game
I,
flopped.
well, yeah, because that's the biggest thing. It was an age before digital downloads, so a lot of games had to be finished on release. If they weren't, that's your legacy now, forever, ever and ever. But at the same time, that also meant that games that came out, they had more pressure to be good right away.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of games back then did meet that standard. And a lot of games nowadays, they're getting too comfortable going, yeah, we'll just fix this in a year and a half. It's fine. And it's like, yeah, no. But hey, listen, at the end of the day, they got their money. So, if anything, we're the ones to blame. Not necessarily us, but like the gamer is to blame because we let them take our money before the game's good because people fall into hype and then they buy a game, they pre-order it, they get the game, and then they go, oh, this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Oh, just stick around, don't worry, we'll fix it. And then forget about it, play the next game. Someone else comes back and goes, hey, yo, remember that game from 6 months ago? It's a lot better now, I promise. And then
No
people
Man's
come back
Sky.
and they go, oh, I'm not even a fan of that, but I feel bad every time I hear about it, every single time.
No Man's
But
Sky was one of
yeah,
those poor games that had a good concept, and if they didn't overhype it to freaking high hell, and shoot themselves in the foot, probably would have done a lot better. And it is, the game is better now, but my point is like, these games keep coming out unfinished, and I can't understand the mentality behind it. Like, what are you rushing to beat? You know what I mean? Your finish line is your finish line. You decide when you finish.
but the
Your
COOs are like,
deadlines are
what make us
created
money
by
now?
you. Sorry?
yeah. See,
I think
Colin, you
it wasn't a profit margin like back then. Of course, it was a business, so they were trying, but it wasn't like aggressive
yeah.
And
money
that's what I
making business.
understand. Now you have a lot of games that just come out, and they're like, oh hey, we'll just fix it later. You know what I mean? We'll fix it in updates. Why are we getting day one updates? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't understand things like that because it it doesn't compute for me. Why you tell me, hey, we're gonna release this game, say whatever it is, April 1st, and April 1st comes along and there's nothing but complaints, and they're like, oh hey, okay, sorry, we'll release a patch for it right now. If you could patch your game on the first day of its release, why would you not fix that before you released it that day? If it's something you could just roll out as you see fit, do you not have like like quality testers? You don't have
Is there?
people
I'm
who
wondering
No,
on the developer end
no, they
for
don't.
like console stores and Steam and like download stuff. Does the release issue need to be on their system a lot of time before it launches? Like, if your launch build is put on Steam a month before it actually launches, and then you have a month to improve it, that would be your day one patch.
Mhm.
So I don't know what
Yeah.
the rules are about launching a game on console stores or Steam, but I'm like, that's probably what day one patches are, fixing anything that they notice in between their launch pat or their launch.
See, I
Oh,
understand
absolutely.
that, but we have games that release completely broken.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's
Like
Oh,
the
yeah. That.
problem.
full
That's
Yeah.
on
the
like
problem with rushing builds.
dysfunctional. Okay? Like, I don't want to keep saying it because the game has gotten a lot better now as opposed to before, but Cyberpunk,
Yeah,
right? I
Yep.
know it's been beaten like a dead horse, but my point is like, Cyberpunk is great now, but when it came out, it was awful. Like fully
Yep.
just not working right at all.
You could find the videos; they're out there.
You
Yeah.
would get through a certain part of the game and not be stuck within story. You could not progress because
Yeah.
of how broken the game was.
But considering what the game is now and the game The Witcher 3 previous to its launch, you know the studio can put work out. So there's another reason. And I think it's CEOs or bigwigs rushing things.
Well,
And that's where the whole pre-order, and we've kind of jumped onto the last topic here a little bit, but yeah, like the whole pre-order era and like, oh, pre-order this before you see it so you can't. And then the first 2 hours are going to be amazing because then what? After you've played for 2 hours, you can't refund this shit and you're stuck with it till we fix it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I agree with Colin in the CO era. Sorry, the CO problem. Specifically because I've heard from a bunch of game devs whenever I like watch a lot of videos that go into breaking down game development as a whole, like that C level of just like those people, the CEO, the oh God, I can't remember all the different names now, but essentially like that bigwig part of it, of management, that part of it is not the same as dev at all. They have completely different priorities, and their priorities are all money based versus the dev team that are supposed to be the ones breaking down bugs and getting proper people to fix certain issues and textures and all that stuff. But thanks to a lot of that, you'll get situations like in the case of Doom Eternal, where that game did not release buggy at all. In fact, none of its issues had anything to do with the game itself and everything to do with outside of it. When that game was released, it was released before the person, Mick Gordon, who's responsible for the soundtrack, could properly mix together the soundtrack on DVD that was supposed to be released with the deluxe edition for a bunch of people that bought it physical. They would get the thing, they open up the music, and they're like, this doesn't sound as good as we thought it would. And someone asked him directly, hey, what's going on with this? And he said, I didn't mix that. Then they find out, oh, it's because Mick wasn't given enough time. But then on id's part of it, they decided to go like, oh no, it's not our fault, he just didn't do his work properly, and then kept demanding extensions when we gave him proper ones. And then it was a whole thing of back and forth, who's at fault, until about 2 years after that entire thing finally passed, Mick was able to come out properly because the what is it? It's not DMCA, but it's the
NDA.
when you're NDA, yeah, the NDA agreement that he had was finally lifted, and he could properly like explain what had happened, and he had receipts upon receipts about his conversations with them and breaking it all down and where it started to fumble and what was going on. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, the issue was they promised something they couldn't deliver when they needed it to come out, because unfortunately, anyone who understands art, you can't rush it. But when you work in the C-level management, you're not thinking that because you're not a creative. That's not the thing on your mind. You look at money, make me money now. And so we're starting to see this sort of clash happening more and more nowadays compared to back then, where there was not a lot of money in video game development pre-2010. Just if you talk to people, and even like people like Mark Kern, who is an ex-Blizzard employee, a bunch of them will tell you that, like, hey, listen, if you actually look into game development, a lot of it is not actually profitable. The companies you see now, they basically made it through the fire, they made it through all the droughts and all the video game collapses, and now they're stronger for it, and they have money. But when they started, there was no money. In fact, video game development was so bad, most people that worked in it did not tell their families they were in video game development, because it was essentially like, oh, you work in video game dev? Why don't you get a real job?
It's
And
like
it's like,
working
it's
in
looked down
retail.
upon. Yeah, it's literally, it wasn't good. And now that it is profitable, now we're actually starting to see the problems that come with that. And deadlines are a big part of that. Meeting deadlines is making a lot of these games like suffer in ways that they probably never would have. An example I use is Pokemon. Pokemon, after fifth generation, released a game every single year. And even if they look marginally better than the old 2D era, most fans agree that in terms of actual quality, they're not at all on par with the old DS and GBA games, specifically because they don't have as much effort put into them, because they can't. They're made yearly. You're not going to make a fully functional $70 game in a year, man.
If you're recycling
Sorry,
enough
I was
code, you
ranting
can.
for a bit. Yeah.
But yeah, I think another thing was back then, because it was such an up and coming market and a niche market, the people at the
Mhm.
top were interested in it.
Yeah, they were nerds too.
Yeah, so they were interested in making gaming bigger because it was new. Now, the CEOs don't even know what a video game are. They're like 80-year-old billionaires who are like, "Here's $1 million, make me money."
Yep, pretty much. That's who Shekos. They're worrying about protecting their investors and their portfolio, as opposed to giving, the consumers a good product. And that's the issue we seem to be having consistently nowadays, where um, specifically AAA titles more than anything, like indie developers, you kind of expect, you give indie developers some leeway because they're working smaller teams, smaller budget,
I'm at the
whatever. You know
point
what I
where I'd
mean?
rather support indie early access games than AAA games. They are hurting me far less.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
At least I know with an indie game, I am paying. I'm
Someone's passion
I'm
project and
I'm
bills
paying
and
someone's
rent.
passion. Exactly. These people are going to put blood, sweat, and tears into this, and they're giving you the best that they are able to give you. Whether it's the best game out doesn't matter to you when you know that passion has been put into it. Whatever genre you're playing, I play a lot of I shouldn't say a lot, but I've started playing a lot of like indie roguelike games, and you can see the difference in quality in those games. Not from a how to explain it, not from the standpoint of like does it have the most polygons in their freaking character models, but the amount of information, the amount of fan service, from the point of like a gamer, certain things you love seeing in the games you like, indie developers seem to do better. AAA titles, I feel like, are being targeted to as many people as possible. So because of that, you can't really dial in on your consumer base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're pretty much just shooting like a shotgun blast and trying to hit as many people as possible, as
And if it
opposed to,
works, do it again as much
yeah,
as
because
possible. Don't
at the end
change
of
a
the day,
thing.
it's about money for them, and they're willing to change certain aspects of their game, or their franchise to better suit the broad scope as opposed to the narrow. And
I think
because of
yeah.
that, fans suffer, right? Like you hate to see your favorite franchise start to go down the drain because they're starting to make changes for the masses as opposed to for the people that genuinely buy their game every time a new one comes out. And it's sad. It really is. Seeing games turn from passion projects into freaking money making schemes. I understand that at the end of the day, everything is about money because we live in a freaking, with capitalism and everything else. Um, but I would just like my $90 game to
Work.
be what I
Yeah.
expect at least. You know what I mean? Like my expectations aren't set to the roof or anything. I just expect, okay, I paid $90 for this game. When I boot this game up on my computer, I expect it
It
to
better boot and not
A,
crash.
freaking run. How is that like a gamble now? Whether you buy a game and it turns on or not, that's crazy to me. Like my computer isn't a supercomputer, but as far as specs go, like it's up there. And I load a game and I'm like, why am I getting 40 FPS playing this? What the hell? You know what I mean? Like that's a slap in the face. My computer cost me like thousands of dollars, and then I pay almost $100 for a game that doesn't even work out the box. That's
To
that's
shit
that's
on
sad.
yeah, I don't know. To
Yeah.
shit on Pokemon for like 2
Oh
seconds.
my
Oh
god.
yeah.
You're
How
Of
beef
the
with
course.
Pokemon.
hell?
Nintendo, come
No,
for
no, no.
us.
I listen. I've played Pokemon for years. I need to just get this out for 2 seconds. How is it that I could play Pokemon Sword for like, let's say, like not even 15 minutes before my game crashed one time? I'm not going to say this has happened all the time, but it happened in general. And yet I've seen people play Doom Eternal on that thing and be fine. I'm like, look, Pokemon is nowhere near as intensive, not even just graphically, just in general. The amount of shit that you do in Doom Eternal with the constant moving and shooting and particle effects from friggin' imps throwing shit at you, Hell Knights slamming into the ground, Caco demons trying to bite your head off, like. And then there's Pokemon. Yo, there's popping all the damn time when I go into the wild area. Like, what's going on? How can that not handle it?
Oh
It's
man,
Pokemon.
man, it's hilarious when you see how far we've come with technology, where basically a cell phone with controllers can run Doom Eternal, but can't run goddamn Pokemon of all things. It's hilarious to me, and this is a wombo combo because Pokemon should run on anything. Like, let's be real here. Like, it should run on anything. And B, Nintendo Switch gotta go. Okay, you can't be trying to run games on that old ass hardware. The freaking hardware was years old when you released it. All right, so I'm never gonna miss a chance to shit on Nintendo for it. But like, they need to release something because I hate the Switch. The Switch was nice when it came out, but years down the line, you guys got a Switch OLED that is essentially doo-doo with a freaking beauty filter on it because now your shitty game just looks slightly better. I can't understand that. I was like, you want to see your Tears of the Kingdom running at 32 FPS on an OLED screen? Like, seriously? Spend that money to freaking upgrade your console before you make it look better. It's crazy to me that they just keep making these bad decisions. Have you seen Mortal Kombat? Mortal
Yes.
Kombat. Oh my god, they make the characters look like they're made out of Play-Doh. Actual freaking Play-Doh on this game. Freaking the Switch can barely run Rocket League. Okay, like, it runs it, but it looks like garbage, and it's Rocket League. It's one of the most bare minimum games ever.
Now, mind you, I'm not defending Nintendo entirely, but I am going to defend Nintendo on this one point. I blame that less on Nintendo because, like I said, Doom runs just fine and Pokemon doesn't. I think that proves the point that it is a competency issue, not an issue of hardware. I think the Switch is absolutely outdated by today's standards, but if it runs Doom and has a problem with Pokemon, that tells me the issue is Game Freak and not Nintendo.
Oh no,
Because
you're
id
right.
found a way to make it work.
No,
So that means
you're
NetherRealm is the
100%
problem
right.
with Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
But see, Doom has always been a really well optimized game.
Oh yeah, I'm
Doom
pretty sure you
ran
can
on
run
goddamn
Doom.
Texas Instruments graphic calculator. So
Yeah.
I would hope that the Switch could run it because, you know, but like, my point is
Yeah.
that the team for Doom, they worked really, really hard to make that game optimized. Doom runs so well on pretty much any computer configuration, any console you throw it on. Doom runs really well. Nintendo, I do love to shit on Nintendo, and I'm never going to stop shitting on Nintendo. But I will say that Pokemon dropped the ball on this one, but I'm not surprised because they've been dropping the ball for freaking years, and people just keep supporting them. They make you the same game 8 times a freaking year, and everyone's like, yep, let me slap that $75 down, take my money. $75 for Pokemon. Pokemon. And this is going to let me I want to segue this because we've been on this for a little bit, but I'm going to segue into our next topic, which is
we just covered our next topic. We skipped the middle topic.
Oh wait, what? Okay, well,
we kind of did.
I wanted to tangent a little bit because the next topic was about predatory monetization practices and microtransactions. I'm not really talking about microtransactions right now, but the whole predatory monetization. I'm telling you right now, Nintendo, Game Freak, Pokemon, whatever, has a monopoly on this. As far as major, like, game companies go, they have a monopoly on this because Pokemon holds your whole childhood hostage. Okay?
Yep.
Some people have paid, everyone knows, about the whole Pokemon freaking world, was it World Dex
no
issue?
It's Pokemon Bank, and then it turned into Pokemon Home. But
Yes. So you upload your Pokemon, and they're gonna hold it safe. And when the next game comes out, you're supposed to be able to basically pass your Pokemon to the next game. But then when the next Pokemon generation comes out, and they say, "Hey, sorry, we have too many characters. We're not including them in the next game." What are your Pokemon supposed to do until then? The answer is nothing. They're going to do nothing until Pokemon freaking Game Freak whatever say otherwise. They're going to sit in that jail, and you're going to pay money to keep them there so they have their freaking breakfast, lunch, dinner, their 3 hots and a cot, whatever it is, and stay safe until another game comes out that supports, those previous Pokemon, and you can transfer them up. But until then, you're forced to pay that monthly or yearly subscription fee until they get it sorted out. And as you can see, it's been years, and I don't know about you, but I haven't heard about them fixing it. Has it? Does anyone know if it's been fixed? Yeah, Darren's
No.
shaking his head no. So it's been years. It still isn't fixed, and people are paying monthly to keep their Pokemon alive. That is just freaking crazy to me. I can't process it, and I'm laughing right now. Nobody can. Only the people
Called
watching
the
this on
Deadbeat Dad
YouTube.
Tamagotchi Simulator. You just
Sorry?
send him. It's the Deadbeat Dad Tamagotchi Simulator. Just send him some money
Yeah,
and hope for
but
the
you're
best.
paying Nintendo to do it. That's all it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give them credit where credit is due. You log on, your Pokemon are there. I had my sister watch my Tamagotchi for a week while I was away from the country, and it died in the second day. So hey, at least they're safe, right? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
my point is that they're holding you hostage. They're taking money from you every single month with no plans, at least at this moment, of giving you the opportunity to get your Pokemon transferred out. That's hilarious. And when you couple in the fact that freaking Pokemon is $75 freaking dollars for what used to be a freaking Game Boy game that cost like $30, they're putting their game in the same class as AAA titles, $75, $80 price points for Pokemon that is essentially the same game with a reskin / a couple extra Pokemon every time they re-release a new version. They're doing that, and they think that deserves a $75 to $80 price point. I can't even comprehend this. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I know they're completely different games, but Pal World was worth freaking double Pokemon, and I paid $38 for it. So, yeah.
I'll be honest. So a lot of the information I was going off of was Pokemon Bank originally. That was on the 3DS, not so much Home. I was just looking at Home, and it was actually worse than I thought.
Oh,
I'll show it to you,
me
but I want to at
rub
least
my
explain
hands
something for
together
a
real
bit
quick.
before that.
Okay, we've roasted Nintendo
So
every time I've been here. I think we're gonna get in trouble.
I'm waiting.
No.
I am waiting. Colin, you don't understand. You see that guitar behind me? That's not there because I can play the guitar. I'm waiting for that Nintendo Ninja to jump through my window, and his ass is going to take that right over the head. I'm waiting for a reason because I will get on Nintendo's ass every single time I get the chance. Beside me, I have my 3DS. I have my 2DS XL. I've got my DS. I've got all that shit. I haven't touched that in forever because to me, that was when Nintendo actually gave a shit, and now they don't. They spit in your face, and everyone's just like, let me open my mouth up real quick. Like, why? I, I can't understand it. When my little brothers come up to me and they go, Donnell, can you get us the new Pokemon game for the Switch?
No,
I am offended. I am genuinely insulted because I'm like, didn't you play the last one? And they're like, yeah, but the next one came out. And I was like, what's the difference? And he's just like, I don't know. It's the next Pokemon. And I'm like, let me do something real quick. Get real close. I need you to hear me. Money is way too hard to come by to be spending it on that garbage every time it comes out, okay? People buy Pokemon games like they buy iPhones. The next one comes out, sorry, last one's trash, gotta buy the next one. They just do because they're pre-programmed to. Pokemon is like in everyone's ear with subliminal messaging like buy the next game. We know it's the same
Okay.
thing, but buy the next game.
I
You know
got
what
a-
I mean?
I got a question here. It
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
combines the last two topics, nostalgia and weird, like microtransactions
Sony.
/ monetization.
Oh,
So, remember our childhood? There was this thing. I don't know if it was like a data limitation thing or something, but they would release the same game with slight variants with like three.
yes.
Like they had the two different Pokemons, and they always had like there was like four different
The third one.
Nintendogs,
Yes.
and it was
Mhm.
like, was that just DLC like of the old days?
I would say Pokemon Emerald, or actually even before that, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and then Emerald. Emerald is basically an expansion pass, but it's just the two games before, but better. So
Yeah, but
we
I'm
can
saying
say
like there
that
was
was
like
the
red
first
and
ever
blue, or there
version
was
of the reload.
Nintendogs, but it was the same game, but there was like this Nintendogs had 5 breeds, this Nintendogs had 5 breeds. So I got Nintendogs
Oh,
for a Christmas gift, and I'm like, I can't. This one doesn't have the Shiba, Dad. Like,
I would call that FOMO, like fear of missing
no, but
out
it
more
was
than
the
anything. But
same game
Pokemon,
code wise, with just slightly different Pokemon and slightly different locations. Like I don't remember the
yeah,
actual difference between
Yes.
Pokemon. I wasn't big
I
into
wouldn't call that
Pokemon.
predatory. Like I said, I would call that FOMO more than anything because it's the
But
same
you're
game.
splitting your
It's
game
just
in
this
half and
one.
charging for it
Yes,
twice.
It's not
right.
necessarily splitting in half though with the Pokemon double releases though. It was like, okay, one Pokemon you got this legendary and the other one you got the other one. I didn't have an issue with it. It didn't feel predatory because it felt like part of the community where you would make like arrangements, like say with me and Darian, right? If I bought
trade.
Pearl, he would buy Diamond,
Yeah.
and then we'd both play them, and when we were done, we would trade them, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of fostered a community. I never really saw a lot of people
That is what they said it was for.
yeah, like I didn't see a lot of people who felt the need to buy both. I feel like that was kind of like the adults doing it for just like collector reasons. But like
Yeah.
growing up, it was always, oh hey, I finished with mine. Did anyone want to trade? And we would just trade.
Yeah,
You
I
know
just
what I
thought
mean?
it was weird because it was like I didn't know if it was like a data limitation situation, like all the
No.
Nintendogs couldn't fit
No.
on one system, or they were just literally trying to get you to buy the game twice so you could have all the
Look,
breeds.
the reason I know it's absolutely not a data issue is because back on the GBA, they specifically said with the second generation, gold and silver, that when they did that generation, they were able to literally fit the entirety of the first game over into the second one. So that proved to me the issue of splitting Pokemon was absolutely to make you talk to somebody that had the other version, not because they couldn't just give you another 150
Because
Pokemon.
I remember getting Pokemon Blue on like the original, and then a month later found out that there is now a Pokemon Yellow where you can start with Pikachu like the show. But my dad said,
Yes.
"No, you already got this game."
And
So
he
I
was right.
just cried. But it's like a paid DLC. Like I want a Pikachu. Like now it would be like, oh, here's a $10 Pikachu DLC
Yeah,
instead of
FOMO.
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely is in a sense, but I kind of feel like with Pokemon, they kind of fostered a community that made that work really well.
Yeah.
So I
I
never.
traded so often.
That's what I mean. It forced you to trade. I think it was kind of like social networking before it was really a thing. You know what I mean? Like because oh hey, I had this version of the game. That person had that version of the game. So what did you do? You went to school. You got your little link cable out. You linked up, and you guys traded so both people could have the
Oh, shit.
opposite
I just remembered another one, dude.
Pokemon. You know what I mean?
I just remembered another one.
But with
What?
Nintendogs though,
No,
it's probably
like
just
remember the
stealing
whole
money.
anti-used game systems where they're like inside the box is a code to unlock a bunch of things and you can only use it once to prevent people from buying used games.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that. That's new to me.
There was a
feel
lot of
like
games
it-
that had like a code that unlocked a weapon or two that was inside the instruction manual, but you could only activate it once.
Yeah. I feel like that was, I wouldn't say it was to stop used game sales as much as it was to incentivize new game sales.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was like, oh, hey, if I buy this game used, it's only going to cost me like, say $25.
Well, the
If I
developers
buy it
don't get that
new for
money.
the $30 or $40, then I get this cool thing or whatever. I understand it's them trying to get
Making
some
sure
more
they got
money
money.
out of their
Yeah.
game sales. It is what it is. At least they didn't put oh, like a freaking de novo or some shit in there to like stop people from doing it altogether, right? Because at least nowadays you can't do that at all.
Yeah.
Like you have game share and that's it. Most games don't even have physical copies anymore, so like you can't even do that. But hey, if it saves me money, I'm willing to lose up on that item. So it is what it is. That definitely was a way for them to get more money, though. It's like, hey, incentivize new game sales because everyone wants to get that cool thing. Do you remember when old games, when you bought a game, it had like really cool items in the actual like case?
The
So you
instruction
pop that,
manual that you read the entire trip home from the store
or like GTA where you
had
open it
maps
up and
and
it's the
codes
freaking
and
map.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, man!
It's so
I
depressing when they just switch to like nothing or just like a piece of paper that's like, yeah, sign up for Nintendo or yeah, there's nothing.
literally a piece of paper that says, "Here's our website."
You
Oh,
know what? I think that brings up a good point. I'll probably just mention the Pokemon thing near the end since it's really quick rundown, anyways. The predatory microtransaction debate that we were going into somewhat. I think this is a side effect of that fact of the whole like taking stuff out of the main game and selling it to you later. I think even outside of that, we also see it where hey, stuff like a cool map that you would just have with the game that used to be normal. Now that's your deluxe edition.
It used to be
yeah.
free.
Oh, spend $120, get a map and
Coffee
and a
mug.
little coffee mug to go with your video game. And it's just like, yo, that used to be normal. Or just in general, it's like old video game covers. Like if you open it right and you pull out the cover, sometimes even inside the cover there's cool shit as well as just the manual, like you said as well. Nowadays all that stuff is the most basic boring thing. Like I recently saw the cover for the Stellar Blade game and that thing's cool. It's reversible if you didn't know. But when I had originally seen like the trailers for it, I was so worried the cover art for that thing was just going to be the title and a blue background because that's most things now. Yo, I love the cover for friggin' Armor Core 6. And it's
Oh yeah,
it's basic in a good way, where it's the basic machine that you have, and then it missing an arm, and then the little red dot in the back corner that's supposed to represent Coral, and just the Armor Core 6 title and a slight like bleed off. Like that looks so good. But it's minimalistic in the best way, where it still looks unique rather than just boring. Like I don't know. I feel like effort is the defining thing that kind of link all of these points. Even like our first point about like the game playing itself for you. I think just gaming nowadays is starting to take effort away because the response is usually, well, not everybody plays video games to be challenged or exert themselves. Some people just play video games to have fun.
That's why
And
we have
I'm
Animal
like, listen,
Crossing.
I understand fun is subjective depending on who you talk to, but I think most people can agree on the fact that effort makes things mean something. If
that's what I was
without
trying to get
effort,
at.
it's just kind of nothing.
It used
I
just it's
think a
weird.
problem with the internet and society in general, across the board, video games, movies, TV,
Yeah,
is this need that everything needs to be made for you. And to the point where
yeah,
it's so wide of a net they're casting that it now works for nobody.
yeah.
People
that's
You
just
can't
need to sit there
please
and realize
everyone.
this game, this show was not made for me as a targeted market. Like I can skip this one.
that's it. And it's crazy because we say this all the time. When I hear people talk about certain games, I like saying, "Oh yeah, this game is bad because it doesn't have this, it doesn't have this," or people asking for like, what do you call it, like difficulty settings in like say not Elden Ring specifically, but difficulty settings in like Souls games.
Yeah,
Souls games get hit really hard with that. People always saying, "Oh, we need to have different difficulties because accessibility." And this is what I was trying to get into before, where I was like, I kind of hate the whole accessibility thing, um, because not because it's a bad thing, but because the people that usually ask for the whole, hey, we need this because accessibility, are genuinely people who don't even like they don't even have accessibility issues. Like there's nothing wrong with them. They can just they play the games and they choose not to play them. Or even if you're bad at that style of game, that's fine. I just say, if you're bad at that type of game and you can't, why are you complaining about it? If it's just not your cup of tea, right? I don't complain about RTS games saying, "Oh, I don't like the way you have to micromanage or do this and do that." I don't do that because I don't play RTS games. I am bad at them, and I chop it up to, I am bad at this game. I'm probably not going to go buy an RTS game just to, complain about it, right? I'm going to stick in my lane. You know what I mean? Stay in my lane, find something I do enjoy, and then have fun with it. If you find a game, and I know a lot of people say it, where they're like, "Oh yeah, there's this game. I really like the story, but the game's too hard. It's
Then
too
watch it.
this. It's too
Watch it.
that." Watch it. That's it. You know what I mean? If
My
you just
favorite
want a
people are like
story, just watch it.
who drop big money on games and they don't like a core concept. Like the people who bought Baldur's Gate and were like, "Oh, I don't like turn-based games.
Yeah.
Why does this
Why
turn-based? Why
would you?
can't this be faster paced?" I'm
Why
like,
would you buy Baldur's Gate then?
"Yeah,
That's its whole
you know,
shtick.
it's not for you. It's for the Dungeons and Dragon nerds. Now go
Exactly.
away and go play COD."
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
people have this mentality of like, because something goes viral. Baldur's Gate went really viral, right? Obviously,
Oh
game
yeah.
of the year in a whole bunch of different classes. Um, it went viral, and because of that, other people saw it and went, "Oh, this game, people love it, people play it. I want to play it too," because they want to be part of that. You know what I mean? They want to
Mhm.
feel like they've participated in that trend. So they go to jump in on it, not realizing, okay, did I even look at the the type of game this is? Is this a game I'm going to enjoy? You don't have to you don't have to jump in just because it's viral or trending. And it's like what Darren was saying before, it's FOMO, right? It's fear of missing out. These people want to jump on it because it's huge, it's big, people are talking about it, they want to feel included. You
Especially
don't
if they
have
have a
to.
controversial opinion that's against the norm, then of course
that that
it's
that
extra
definitely
shiny.
that too, 100%. And it's upsetting because it's changing a lot of the games that we find enjoyment in, because they're taking the opinions of these people as the voice of gamers, and that's why we're having so many issues. You know what I mean? Games aren't supposed to be targeted to everybody. We have ratings, we have genres, all of these things
Yeah.
for this reason. It's find something you enjoy and play that style of game. But now we're trying to target everything to everybody, and it just leads into this whole freaking issue that we're in now, where some games, just, you can tell they don't have a direction, or they have certain features that don't belong there, because they're
Yeah.
trying to cast the largest net to capture the most consumers. And it's
They're
just
just
crazy.
shitty versions of stuff that does it better.
Exactly. That's pretty much all it is. Um, what was the point I was gonna get back into? Um, we're already at like almost the hour and 10 mark.
Yeah,
So
I thought I would just ask a question to close off here because we kind of covered a lot. I
yeah,
was
Well, I
thinking
haven't
we
finished
kind
the
of.
Pokemon thing.
Oh, you can
okay,
go
we
your
can we can
Pokemon rant
add.
one. You can
Yeah.
have an entire episode of just you by yourself bitching about Pokemon, okay?
Oh yeah.
uh,
Oh yeah.
but we glossed over the whole nostalgia thing like really quickly. So, is there any games that you'd be like, give me a remaster right now, like as accurate as possible remaster right now?
Oh, that's tough. I have a
War of the
lot.
Monsters is mine. I'm just gonna say that flat out.
Oh man.
I want fucking 4K city destruction level monster battler. But I think
That's
I'd
a good
want a
option.
sequel, like more characters, obviously more maps and shit. But that concept needs, again, I need that in my life.
I'm trying to think, how old am I going back here? Like, am I talking PlayStation 2, maybe even Dreamcast, one of my OGs? Um, do they have a? No, I know they remade a Jack and Daxter a while ago,
Did
didn't
they
they?
really? Uh, what was their latest game? I don't know.
Let's see.
I think their latest was 2017, right? Oh no, that was just a bundle release. When did they
Yeah,
release an
see,
actual?
I feel like
They
they
could
did
do a
one
Jack
a
and Daxter
while
for sure.
back, but Jack and Daxter is a big one for me. To see that come out with the current technology we have, being able to play that game at higher res, and they at least keep the core concept of the game. I want it to be like nitty gritty, you know, kind of
He
edgy, because I
really,
played it when I was in my like, you know, my preteens.
he just seemed like edgy Ratchet and Clank. Just him and his fucking
Yes.
shotgun and weird weasel. But yeah, that or the Simpsons Hit and Run, like the weird Grand Theft Auto Simpsons.
Oh, Simpsons Hit and Run was a fever dream.
Yeah, I would love that.
Simpsons Hit and Run is a good one. What's another one I can think of right now? There's a few of them that have been remade, but I'm trying to think of something specific. Jesus. Like there's a couple old like JRPGs I could probably think of too,
I'm
like
sure
Rogue
Darian's
Galaxy,
got all
stuff
the
like that.
JRPGs.
Yo, Darren, you got one?
Honestly, no. And the reason why is because I think after Dot Hack got a
How
remaster,
did
I
I know you were
realized
gonna pick Dot Hack? Sorry, go
no,
See,
no,
ahead.
I
no. I
said a
didn't.
good remaster. I specified that it would be a good remaster. Like,
No, I know, but the problem is more so that like it made me realize what I want isn't necessarily something that can happen because as I've told Danelle before, one of my favorite things about it was probably actually just an issue of underdeveloped hardware. Because one thing I love is that game has what's known as the Rangeki system. Every time you use a special attack when the enemy's glowing, you basically have a slowdown effect, and then it says out the word of the attack, and then he does the attack, and it's really cool. In the old game, certain attacks would just straight up lag the system, and that's absolutely an issue of hardware, because when it was now made for like newer consoles and PC, there is no slowdown anymore. And I was like, oh man, that used to be cool. And it's like, no, of course they can't do
that's why I
that.
specified it would be
It's not
accurate and
coded
good,
into the
though.
game to do that.
Yeah, no,
No,
he's
but that's what
saying
I
like
mean
if
though. This
perfect world scenario.
Oh, that was weird.
what?
Sorry,
What?
I
just had a
just
server interrupt just now.
woo.
Oh yeah, yeah. But then I'll go. You were saying
One more I was thinking of was Dark Cloud. I want a
yeah.
Dark Cloud remake.
Dark Cloud. I don't remember that one.
Dark Cloud. That's an old, like that's an OG, like a
Oh.
PS2 RPG. Oh, sorry, did we just drop? Okay.
No,
I don't know. It's all getting mad at us all of a sudden.
it's telling us to hurry up.
Yeah. Well, we're coming to a closer here.
But yeah, War of the Monsters definitely probably mine. Just having a crazy kaiju battler would be fun.
I think it would be cool just with like all of the new movies that we've received with the giant kaiju battles and stuff. Like imagine like a newer version of Godzilla with a larger map and things being, you know, destroyed, but you know, with a little bit more realism in there. I think it'd be super cool. Because even the old,
Oh,
sorry, oh wait, you just think of one?
I did, but the only reason why it kept eluding me was because technically we keep getting new games in this series, anyways. But the Gundam versus Gundam from the PlayStation 2.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
If they just make that and all they do is they just add multiplayer functionality, but it plays the exact same way it used to,
Yeah.
perfect. That's all I want.
Listen, what you want exists. It's just not in Canada.
Yeah, I
It's in
know.
it's in
I
Japan.
know. I
It's in
know. They
Japan.
get
You
all the
jump in
cool
that
shit.
you jump in the freaking mobile suit cockpit and it's multiplayer Gundam battles. You just tap your phone and it saves your account and everything. They won't even
Dude,
let you
when we
take
saw that
pictures
at
of the thing.
Youmacon, when we went to Youmacon and that was there in the arcade section, I was so happy. I
Yo,
hated the fact that it's literally just like a one play, one done, and you have to trade off with other people because obviously you have to. It's
yeah.
turns, but like, God, man, it was there.
Imagine having money, you know, having one of those in your room.
Right?
It's like, oh, what are you playing after work? Let me
I
jump
think
in the
Colin
cockpit
dropped.
real quick.
Okay, he's back.
Yeah, we should wrap up because it looks like our our podcasting site here is having some server issues.
It's picking
So,
up.
with that, we're going to be running this to a close. Please, guys, check us out on all of our other platforms. We're on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, pretty much every platform um, for podcasting. If you want to see our lovely faces, you can check us out on YouTube at DXD Podcast, same as the podcasting title. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Later.
Bye.
Peace.